Stan Lee is often credited as the mastermind behind Marvel's most legendary heroes, but superfans know he didn't build the universe alone. It takes a village after all. Today, we'll be looking at 10 of the incredibly talented artists and writers that collaborated with Stan throughout his career, helping shape the Marvel Universe into the global phenomenon it is today. While the list doesn't go in our usual countdown order, we believe each collaborator was equally important to the development of Marvel characters and stories. So really, despite it being called Top 10 Stan Lee Collaborators, these are just 10 of the most influential, I guess is the word, inspiring collaborators that Stan Lee has worked with. At number 10, we have Stan Lee and Marie Severin. One of Marvel's pioneering female artists, Severin was vibrant and expressive, and she brought that style to her work with Stan Lee, especially for her work on the Hulk. Originally hired as a colorist, Severin quickly established herself as an artist that stood out amongst her peers in a male-dominated industry, utilizing her unique ability to capture emotional depth and bring energy to Marvel's pages. Her art was known for its boldness and playfulness, which added a certain quality to Marvel's stories. Severin's impact on the Hulk was particularly notable. Her work helped highlight the shift in his character from a monstrous figure to a tragic, complex character, showing both his terrifying strength and his underlying vulnerability. Her contributions not only defined Marvel's visual style during a crucial era, but also opened doors for future female artists, making her a true trailblazer in the industry. At number 9, we have Stan Lee and Wally Wood. Wally Wood's brief but impactful work with Stan Lee on Daredevil left a lasting impression on the character, particularly through his redesign of Daredevil's costume. Known for his detailed, high-contrast art style, Wood brought a gritty, intense feel to Daredevil, enhancing the character's street-level realism and setting a darker tone that would define the series. His most famous contribution was changing Daredevil's costume from yellow to the now iconic red, giving the character a bolder, more striking look that became central to his visual identity. Although Wood's time at Marvel was short, his redesign helped shape Daredevil's unique identity and set a high standard for costume design in superhero comics. And I'm gonna be honest, I know a lot of people like the yellow costume, but I grew up with that really deep, intense red costume, so I have a bias towards that, just saying. At number 8, we have Stan Lee and Don Heck. Don Heck's collaboration with Stan Lee was essential in shaping the look of Marvel's early heroes, especially through his work on Iron Man, the Avengers, and X-Men. Heck is known for his clean lines and strong sense of design. He created iconic looks for characters like Hawkeye and Black Widow, bringing a sense of strength and humanity to Marvel's roster. His art set a cohesive yet distinct visual tone for Marvel's first superhero teams, allowing each character's unique personalities to shine within the group dynamic. Like, imagine having so many characters, but having each individual character shine amongst the group. Though later artists sometimes overshadowed his work, Heck's foundational design for the Avengers and Iron Man continue to influence Marvel's visual design, making his contribution lasting and impactful. In the 7th spot, we have Stan Lee and Larry Lieber, a collaborator much closer than most on this list. Larry Lieber is Stan Lee's brother. One can even say the two have been collaborating all their life. I know, that was kind of corny. All jokes aside, Larry Lieber, being Stan Lee's brother, brought a natural understanding of Stan's story style, almost seamless collaboration on Thor and Iron Man. Lieber co-wrote and illustrated the early adventures of these iconic heroes, crafting foundational mythologies that balanced epic themes with a little human relatability. For Thor, Lieber helped establish the hero's Asgardian heritage, his connection to Norse mythology, and his complex relationship with Loki. And honestly, Larry Lieber being, Stan's brother, he probably understands relationships between brother and brother. So honestly, I don't know who else would have been the perfect collaborator for Stan Lee in terms of the relationship between the two. Anyway, for Iron Man, Larry Lieber contributed the defining Tony Stark dual nature as a flawed industrialist, inventor, an entrepreneur, and a hero in advanced armor. It's Lieber's work on these characters that helped shape Marvel's tone, which is blending these grand mythological elements with grounded human characterizations that have become almost central to the Marvel Universe. At number 6, we have Stan Lee and John Buscema. John Buscema's collaboration with Stan Lee brought a grand mythic quality to Marvel's stories, particularly through his work on Thor, the Silver Surfer, and the Avengers. Buscema's art was intricate and highly detailed, and it gave Marvel's cosmic heroes this ethereal and majestic look that some would say perfectly matched their powerful, otherworldly stories. For example, the dramatic style he worked into the Silver Surfer added a sort of existential depth to the character's cosmic adventures, while his work on Thor elevated the hero's mythological roots to another level, making Asgard feel both majestic and awe-inspiring. Reeling things in a bit, Buscema also made significant contributions to the Avengers, where he added emotional depth to team dynamics and gave each hero a distinct yet harmonious presence. Buscema's operatic visuals and ability to balance action with introspection set a high standard for Marvel storytelling, influencing generations of artists and solidifying his reputation as one of Marvel's most revered creators. Taking our number 5 spot is Stan Lee and Gene Colan. Colan is often called the Dean of Comics, and he takes the number 5 spot for his groundbreaking contributions to Marvel's visual storytelling. He's known for his unique cinematic style. Colan brought this realism and emotional weight to characters like Daredevil and Iron Man. They weren't just heroes in suits, they were humans. And it helped shift Marvel towards a more grounded and mature tone. His masterful use of light and shadows added tension and mood, immersing readers into the characters' struggles. You gotta use lighting to highlight these struggles. And this is where Colan was a master of. Colan's work on Daredevil highlighted the hero's internal conflicts. His relationship with characters like Elektra and his battles with villains like Bullseye made the world feel gritty and intense. On Iron Man, his detailed art made Tony Stark's dual life as a flawed human and armored hero feel authentic and more down-to-earth and compelling. It's this ability to bring emotion and complexity to his art that set the standard for superhero comics. And again, it did lay the foundation for modern and realistic visual storytelling, which was an influence on artists from then on. At number 4, we have Stan Lee and Bill Everett, whose collaboration with Stan Lee created Daredevil, introducing one of Marvel's most unique and enduring heroes. Drawing from his experience as the creator of Submariner, Everett brought a fresh perspective to superhero design, focusing on heightened senses and human vulnerability rather than traditional superheroes. For those of you that are watching this and aren't familiar with Submariner, it's Namor. And with Namor are the heightened senses, which is what he brought to Daredevil. And yeah, they aren't traditional superheroes. Daredevil's tragic origin story, which is, marked by the loss of his sight and his transformation into this resilient street-level hero, is what sets him apart from other heroes on Marvel's pantheon. And Everett's gritty, grounded art style that perfectly matched the tone of this character. And his art emphasized themes of struggle and perseverance. This partnership with Stan Lee enhanced this new character-driven superhero storytelling, where you could find flaws and personal hardships in the characters, and they were just as compelling as, their heroics. And Daredevil's origins are a blueprint to heroes from then on out, especially ones that were really human and flawed. And you can see Everett's influence on Marvel's street-level stories, which continues today. Now, we're getting to these really big ones. At number 3, we have collaborator John Romita Sr. John Romita Sr. took over Spider-Man after Steve Ditko left, and he used this time to redefine the character and bring a sort of, warmth and relatability to Peter Parker's world. And this is what cemented Spider-Man's place as Marvel's flagship hero. Romita's polished and clean style struck the perfect balance between the hero and the human, the Spider-Man and the Peter Parker, each held equal weights, and it made the character more appealing to the broader audience. He's also known for his iconic designs for Mary Jane Watson and Gwen Stacy, as well as his rework of classic villains such as the Green Goblin. And this enriched Spider-Man's world, created additional depth for the series' core. Romita's influence extends to the character's romantic and personal storylines, which are central to Spider-Man's appeal. His version of Peter Parker's world became the definitive look for the character, with his contributions standing as some of the most iconic in comic book history. Number 2. We had just mentioned Steve Ditko in our previous section, but he's back at number 2. Steve Ditko's collaboration with Stan Lee brought two of Marvel's most iconic characters to life, Spider-Man and Doctor Strange. Ditko's art style created a stark contrast between the grounded, urban-inspired world of Spider-Man and the surreal, mind-bending realms featured in the stories of Doctor Strange, showcasing his incredible range as an artist. Ditko's designs were innovative, and it's what made Spider-Man's movement dynamic and relatable. It's also what made it possible for Ditko to craft this mystical, otherworldly visual identity for Doctor Strange that remains unmatched to this day. But your mileage may vary. These creations introduced groundbreaking storytelling, with Spider-Man's origin story and personal struggles really redefining what makes a superhero. On top of that, Doctor Strange's exploration of the mystical realm pushed the boundaries of comic book narratives, opening this new realm, literally, for comic book stories to tell. And like many collaborators on this list, Ditko's influence extends far beyond his time at Marvel. And as I've said before, it did set a new standard from that point on, making him a cornerstone of Marvel's early success. And last but not least, at number 1, we have to shout out Jack Kirby. Their collaboration laid the foundation for the Marvel Universe, creating some of its most iconic teams and characters, including the Fantastic Four, X-Men, the Avengers, Thor, and the Hulk, and so much more. Together, they introduced a revolutionary approach to superhero storytelling by blending this epic heroism with these deeply human flaws, making their creations both powerful and relatable. And you can see how each of the collaborators on this list have built upon this collaboration. It is this foundational collaboration that really set the tone for Marvel going on forward. Kirby's bold, dynamic art style brought these characters to life, from the familial bond of the Fantastic Four to the diverse and collaborative spirit of the X-Men and the Avengers. It's the partnership between Stan Lee and Jack Kirby with storylines like the Galactus trilogy, which set a new standard for what makes comics so grand. It's this collaboration that not only shaped Marvel's world, but also redefined the comic book industry, establishing a lasting legacy of innovation, creativity, and storytelling excellence. This list of 10 collaborators created not only some of Marvel's most iconic characters, but also revolutionized how comic books told stories, giving them an emotional depth and visual complexity that expanded their appeal to readers of all ages. Together, Stan Lee and his collaborators built a universe that continues to grow and inspire to this day. What other collaborations did we miss? Let us know in the comments what you think, and subscribe if you like this video and want more. And, as always, Excelsior!